All right. 5, 4, 3. Welcome home. Welcome to the Hype Machine. Here we explore tech events, tech effectors, and trailblazers from all around the world. Special thanks to the new effectors checking in for the first time. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe, like, comment. We love feedback over here. That's the only way we get better. I am Techtron, and joining us today, we have the Pharaoh of Frequency, the Emperor of High Energy. We have the Samurai for the cyber attack, the auto correction for your data protection. We have the tech titan himself, Justin Windsor. Justin Windsor, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going? How you doing?
Good. I gotta live up to all those names, man. That was good. It's a good write-up.
I was trying to flow with it.
It was good flow.
I don't think Justin likes these names. I should have sent them over first.
No, they were good. I like them all. I was like, sometimes I wonder where he's gonna take it, and then you brought it home.
He's like, wrap this up. But well, I mean, Justin, of course, we met in Disney, and I can't wait to cover that, your passion for Disney, but overall. But I've traveled to events all over, all kinds of events, large trade shows, concerts and arenas, road shows with great presenters, and I have to say, your delivery and your energy are unlike anything I've ever seen before. Like, if I recall, didn't they stand up? Like, didn't you have them stand up in Disney?
Had them standing up.
And I was like, wow, I love that move. Like, it was, I mean, you got everybody alert, everyone was locked in already. But I mean, just the passion in which you discuss the things you talk about and the way you deliver things. Delivery is just, I think it's not spoken of enough of how you deliver the message, and that plays key into how it connects, or whether it even connects in the first place. Justin, I would love to get to know where your journey began. Would you mind telling us about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. No. Yeah, and again, Andre, thanks for having me, and everyone who's listening, watching, tuning in, also appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, I currently live in North Carolina, born and bred in Baltimore. So currently our Baltimore Ravens are 1-5, but that's okay. We got faith in Lamar. Lamar, bring it back. But yeah, born and bred in Maryland, now live in North Carolina. Kind of interesting path if you were to get into the IT space. I was a school teacher. I taught elementary school. Last school I taught at was a private school in Washington, D.C. And that last year, which was very, very challenging, kind of tenuous. And then always kind of had reservations of getting into like corporate America and kind of all that came with that. And I was like, I don't know if that really fits me per se. But yeah, I started at a boutique integrator in Hanover, Maryland, Alliance Technology Group. Started there as a federal BDR, basically just cold calling, banging the phones, getting appointments, yada, yada, yada. Got promoted to be an outside sales rep at Alliance, eventually an enterprise rep at Alliance Technology Group. And then when I got to about 2017, 2018, just kind of wanted to do something different. You know, driving around the DC area every single day can be very, very nauseating, to say the least, you know. And then I wanted to get into the channel, and I've kind of done that since. And now here at HPE, but some prior roles included, you know, places like Splashtop, Zadara, a company called Cloudistics. So experience from not only selling technology from all shapes and sizes, from servers to storage to backup to networking to firewalls, cybersecurity, all those kinds of things, to then actually joining and beginning many channel programs kind of from the ground up. And now as we talk here today, you know, middle of October, now lead all of our channel business for Zerto, a product, a solution HP acquired years back for public sector. So I'm always talking to partners that are selling into or trying to solve challenges for our customers in education, government, as well as the tribal marketplace.
Wow. What were some of the early challenges in your career and just breaking into the field?
Yeah. No, I think for me personally, from a technology perspective is, and I go back to a conversation I had with Hope Hayes, the original founder of Alliance Technology Group, very, very, you know, wonderful woman. And I got my very first meeting ever, right? So again, I was an inside sales rep just pounding the phones, but then I got promoted and then I got my first outside sales appointment. And I was very excited and all jacked up that I got an appointment with a customer and I'm gonna drive and see it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I got a meeting with a customer. I got to go see them, right? Because it's easy to be someone over the phone or over email, but when you see someone in person, like, it's kind of a different thing. And I'll never forget, like, I was prepared for the meeting. I wanted to understand their challenges, what they were looking for, how my company Alliance could solve them with the myriad of manufacturers that we have. And my challenges always were, I want them to like me. Like, I want them to like me. Like, I want them to buy technology from me, but I personally want them to like me. Like, hey, Justin's a good guy, right? And then it kind of got over the hurdle. A conversation I had with Hope is that when you're in the business world, like, it's not about them liking you, Justin Windsor, out of the office. Like, sometimes I think when you're in an IT, oh, I don't want to call that guy, he might get upset with me. Oh, I don't want to send an email, but that's your job. And they're not necessarily mad at you per se. They may get annoyed by the sales guy because I think it's kind of human nature. So my early challenges were, I want to sell, I want people to like me, but then kind of I said earlier, I don't want to lose me. And I think now you go back to how my delivery and how I present, I think that's kind of the evolution of that, is that I am me, but with the experience and the knowledge of how to deliver the messaging, how to listen to customer challenges, how to solve them, how to, take a program from concept to inception. But the biggest challenge really was not losing sight of who I was, because I didn't want to be like every other manufacturer or every other partner rep who walks in wearing the exact same suit, driving the exact same car, and it's like not really kind of having like a soul, right? Yeah. So that was my earlier challenge, that I want to be successful, but kind of on my own terms.
Wow. I mean, you said it. You are yourself, and that's what it was. That's what stood out. It was authentic. It didn't feel rehearsed, and I know it's a lot of information to retain, but you were just flowing and everybody was just locked in and connecting. But I mean, did you have a mentor that kind of helped guide you a bit, or someone you watched before you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I would say from a personal perspective, my granddad has always been my mentor, right? So my granddad was born in Poland, left right before everything went in the 40s. So he was born in 23, made the decision as a 16-year-old to leave Poland, to move to America, got to New York. This is a true story. Then I answer the question. But he got to New York, Ellis Island, traditional story, didn't speak any English, all Polish. The individual who was basically doing the intake said, hey, where do you want to go? And in a very broken way, he said, Chicago or Baltimore are the two biggest Polish areas. And my granddad, in a very broken English way, goes, which one's closer? Because he's been on a boat, right? And he chose Baltimore, and the rest is history. So like outside the office has always been my granddad, because he came here with basically clothes on his back, wanted to becoming a college graduate from the University of Maryland, started his own business, had a family of 5 girls, traveled the world. So anytime I have debates in my life, I just kind of go to him. Right, he passed some years ago, as kind of a source of inspiration. Like if he had all of these challenges and how he overcome them, certainly I can do that. And him as well as my grandma, I kind of miss every single day. On the business side of the house, and I don't know if he actually knows that he was a mentor, but I do want to give a shout out to Steven German, who is still the VP of Sales of Alliance Technology Group. When Steven first joined, he was my second VP of Sales, and he came in and had a certain decorum, which initially maybe we didn't vibe so much. But one thing that Steven taught me was, always take care of the customer. And the way that Steven takes care of his employees, right? But yet his attention to detail, his drive for execution, like those are the things that when I look back at my career and the places I've been, like there's always like, little Steven German, like little Jerry Seinfeld, though I'm not a rooster, because that would sound terrible. But like he's just a really good guy. Not only from a business perspective, but just a personal perspective. And I've had challenges, I'll say that, outside of the office, and Steven's always been there. So for someone who can put so much into his job while still balancing a family and having kids in college that he has, and still care so much about his employees, I mean, that's something that doesn't go unnoticed.
That's awesome. I mean, it's always great to have great examples. Somebody you can follow, you can kind of look and just see how they live their lives in real time, kind of feed off of that. I love it. 100%. I mean, 100%. I mean, with that being said, what would you say your greatest accomplishment is in your entire life? Now, I know that's still ongoing, but
yeah, it's not a business answer. My greatest accomplishment is and always will be my son Liam. He's 14. His initials are LSW, so certainly we want him to go to LSU because that's our college. We'll see if it happens, but yeah, he's 14. Big baseball guy, big football guy. He's always my greatest accomplishment forever. I think another great accomplishment is recently married for the first time. So I got married 2 days will be 3 months. So I got married July 19th, which was my grandmom's birthday. So that was an homage to her. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you're a parent, your greatest accomplishment will always be your kids.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the new marriage. 3 months on your grandma's birthday. So that was
for my
planned.
grandma's birthday, and and it's nice. I'm now married to Jen. Not only do I have Liam, I also now have a stepson named Aiden. So now we got two boys collectively, one in first grade and one in high school. So both dealing with the same things, of course.
Yeah.
Right. Joking. But yeah, it's cool to have kind of that traditional family. So
Wow, Aiden.
and Aiden, yeah.
My son's, so our newborn's name Aiden as well.
Ah, what a great name!
I thought we were being creative. Thought we can't. I said no one has this name.
No one has.
This is it. And then I get on an interview with you, and
there you
I'm
go
late to the party. But no, that's
no,
awesome,
you guys picked a good one. So there you go.
All right. I said I got it. But
There you go.
what do you do to prepare? I mean, for your when you speak publicly for your presentations. I mean, do you rehearse? I've always wanted to know these things.
Not really. I know I probably should say yes, I rehearse and I have notes and I'm looking at my phone, but I gotta be honest, not really, right? Because I look at it like this. When I present, what I try to do, and in this moment I present around Zerto and why that solution from HP can really help mitigate downtime, and we can go further with that. But there's other places that I presented. Like I was at a technology called Zadara, which was one of the first companies that really offered storage as a service, right? Then I was at a technology called Splashtop, which was all about remote access and remote support. So really what I try to do when I'm presenting a technology, and I think, again, me being a school teacher helps me just get in front of people and talk, because I don't mind it at all, is I try to understand the technology, but I also try to understand in a way that someone not in the IT field could understand it, right? So when I circling back here to Zerto, like I sold Zerto years ago when I was at Alliance, amongst the other technologies that I sold before I got acquired from HP. So I kind of knew Zerto, kind of who you are, what we do kind of thing. And now being here for a couple of years, I really think I've got a good handle on what Zerto does. But as I talk, I'm always trying to figure out, so maybe there's a little bit of preparation there. I'm trying to figure out how I can keep the content relative, how I can keep the content timely, but also in a way that people can understand, right? So one thing I, kind of just using Zerto is it's all about speed. It's all about how quickly can you get back up and running. So when I was in, Disney, and we can certainly take time talking about Disney, but one of the questions I like to pose to audiences is raise your hand if you have a microwave. And like, oh, I have a microwave. I don't know why IT guys asking me that, but I try to put things like, oh, so that's what you guys do. So it's really not a preparing per se. I mean, I think I definitely, in order to get to that place to present and understand that, and present in that manner, I have to understand the technology, right? So there is a little bit of preparation, but to say that, hey, I'm talking on, November, blank in Denver, and this is going to be my script, that's not how I roll per se. And sometimes when I talk, like Michael Scott from The Office, I don't know where it's going. Hopefully I kind of get there by the end, but yeah, I don't really prepare in that regard. I mean, I think if you're prepared and confident in what you're delivering, then that should be the preparation that you need.
That's awesome. I mean, I kind of thought, if you know what you're talking about, you'll feel confident, but delivering it in the way that you do with the energy and you playful examples, use cases, which stood out. A lot of people that I've seen in the past, all through the years, they'll have great information and they'll present, but it's really important to have those use cases, and you speak in use cases and everything's real time, and you always have a statement that you have the next statement that will apply and connect to it. Everything's a connecting phrase, and I was like, wow, he's leading them to a point, and it was super cool. So I mean,
thanks, man.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to use it somehow to make
no, by all means. I mean,
and
I think for me, and I presented a couple times last week in California. I've sat through presentations, right? I've been in IT for 18 years, and I've sat there and, for the first couple of minutes, like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. But by the time that presenter is done, you forget that, because it's been lost in so many speeds and feeds and tech jargon. And then me, I'm technical enough because I've been doing this for close to 20 years now, but I'm not like a super technical person. So by the time that guy, girls did finish presenting, I've already lost what they've said. So for me, I want to deliver in a way that you're going to remember, right? And it could be personal stories, it could be use cases, and that is what I think people kind of gravitate to. And especially if you've been sitting through a number of presentations, they all kind of sound the same. And that kind of goes back to my opening comment that I'm intentionally not trying to be like every other presenter that someone sees, because I want to stand up. I want to be different. I want to form that connection and that relationship. And then when I'm presenting, I hope bear some fruit that, oh, you know what, that's it. You know, when Justin was talking, that kind of stood out. Let me investigate that technology a little bit further.
That's it. Wow. I mean, just from surveying attendees from events all year long, I always hear number one is, what do you like to see? Use cases and live demos. It's like, so to your point, you know, your presentation, as soon as they're done, or if it, you know, if you don't have those things in there, people tend to drift. I know I do after a while, even when I was in storage. But what does the term tech forward mean to you?
So weird example I'll give you. So years ago, I was in college, and I remember watching a TV commercial, and it was a business lady on the top of her rooftop, Chicago, New York, LA, where it was. And she said, because of this, my customers can reach me at all times, and she had her cell phone. And I, as a college student, was like, that sounds terrible. Like, I don't want people reaching out to me at all times of the day. You know, it's like Larry David. After 10 o'clock, I'm kind of done. But when I hear tech forward, like, my mind goes to is how can we use technology to move forward? And that could be a multitude of things of how are we, you know, studying research to develop more cures for diseases quicker, because there's a technology component to that, right? You know, how can we leverage technology to drive innovation to our business, that we can, as a business, that we have competitors, but can we use technology to distance ourselves from our competition, right? Again, in this current role, I talk to a lot of technology providers that sell into universities, right? And yes, as much as universities are about getting the guy or girl education, you know, getting set up for the next part of their life, maybe there's a sports component to it, but higher ed is a business, right? Make no mistake, higher ed is a business. So can a university use technology to look what we have that those guys don't? So when I hear this term tech forward, again, I could probably go off on some more tangents. For me, it kind of goes back to how can we use technology to innovate and move forward? And again, it could be for healthcare, it could be for IT needs, it could be for business value. So, you know, a long-winded way of saying, I think it's got a lot of answers, but holistically, it's how can we use technology to move to the next round of things?
Very true. I agree with that. I mean, so with that being said, where do you see AI taking the world in the next 10 years?
Yeah, I think it's a popular topic, right? AI, right? And I think in some way, shape, or form, whatever vertical of business you're in, right, or even just general life, AI will be a part of life. Like, I don't think there's anything about anybody's question that. I mean, there's movies all about AI, you know, tons of those out there. And for me, it's got to be a balancing act. Like, what are those, I'm not saying mundane, but what are those tasks, again, quick story here, that I just came up with, like Michael Scott, that if you were an employee and you went to the office on a Monday and you sat there and you're like, I got to file all these papers and I hope to be out by 5. And that was very time consuming. Or when we went digital, like, I have all these files and you're typing it. That's a great use case for AI. But that's a great use case that, hey, you're not taking that person's job away, but you're taking those tasks away, and then that person can be reallocated to do something else that is, again, business forward for the business, healthcare, whatever the case may be. So I think AI is something that we have to kind of have come to terms with. But I do think in some way, shape, or form, it has to be regulated, right? How are we using AI that we are not maybe seeing things that we're not supposed to be seeing, right? Or in the case of a solution like Zerto, yes, AI is going to be a component of cyber attacks, but do we have the defense to match the speed of what AI is doing, right? And going back to my presentation last week, you know, that's a couple people from HP even mentioned the same comment, right? So Jeremiah Jensen, who kicked off our talk last week with partners, and even Bill Burnham, you know, CTO of HP Public Sector, said the same thing. AI is here, but it's also impacting how ransomware is. And again, solutions like HP, and then obviously I got the chance to talk about that. So I think AI is here. There's no any way, shape, or form about it. I think it's going to continue to innovate, continue to expand. I do think there needs to be regulations about, you know, against it, right? Because I think we've all seen, you know, these movies like Will Smith. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Will Smith. You know. Will.i.am, I think it was that movie, right?
Was it? Oh yeah, But
it's like, are we worried about like AI's taking over us as human beings, right? Because you see these movies, like, oh my gosh, it's so scary. And I think as long as we maintain the control of AI, of how AI is brought into our lives, then I think that's kind of the path I would suggest.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I just saw iRobot the other day. I was like, wow.
iRobot.
Like what was it, Vicky? The name of the
Yeah.
machine, like it was the brain trust of the robots, and they decided to like push back. It was pretty wild, but
Yeah, I fly a lot, and I watched a movie it's called Companion, but it was also kind of based upon that a robot who was programmed then became human. Not really an AI comment, but I think when you say the word AI, I think a lot of people go, oh my gosh, the world, it's gonna be robots taking over, and they're gonna take over my job, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I do think there has to be mandates around AI.
wow. I think you're right. So,
Yeah,
selfish question.
yeah.
I meant to ask you this in person, and we will touch on Disney really quick in just a moment.
Let's do that.
What was the most unique and memorable tech event that you've ever been to? Where was it and why? 100% use this information to
No, for sure. Like I've done a lot of events. I've been to a lot of events, and there's lots of ways I could answer that question. But I think one that was somewhat memorable was 2022, maybe 21, 22, one of those two, maybe even 23. I don't know. But I presented at FETC, right, which is a huge education event. It's held in Orlando. Plug for Disney there. But I got to present, and I kicked off day 3. So we had a lot of teachers and a lot of educators and IT guys and girls that support education from all walks of life. So from, libraries to higher ed to school systems and kind of everywhere in between. And one thing that I just kind of go back to is I presented on a Friday, and I think that was a week ago or 6 days ago on that Saturday, Bob Saget from Full House had just passed away. Wow. Right? And I grew up watching Full House and Family Matters and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I was like, oh, Bob Saget died. That's so sad. And of course, as you know, like I kicked off Friday, I was like, I need a walk-up song. Like it's Friday morning. They've been here for a couple of days. They're listening to more people talking. Hi, my name's Justin. I'm here to talk to you about Splashdot, which I did talk about Splashdot, but I used a walk-up theme song of Full House.
Oh, that TJIF.
Right? So but the thing is, I let the Full House song play for like 10, 15 seconds, and all the crowd's like, where is this guy? And then I walked up, and then the first thing I said, it wasn't, hi, my name is Justin here, or hey, I'm here to talk about how technologies can help you around, what Splashdot does. And first thing I said was, that was for Bob. And I got a couple little smirks. So
nice.
And like sources of appreciation, like, yeah, we like Bob Saget too, and he passed. So I think that for me is just kind of memorable, because I think it was an event where it showcased, I was a school teacher, so I kind of identified, and yes, that was part of our presentation. So I kind of identified with the audience and the challenges that they have in the classroom from a kid's perspective, as well as instruction and all that goes with it. And then also because I'm now in that role from a technology perspective, right? And I was able to give a shout out to Bob Saget. I was less than 15 minutes away from the greatest place in the world, Walt Disney World. I think there's probably some others, but I think for me, that's one that stands out.
Wow. I mean, for those that don't know, Justin is the king of the walk-up music. It's like entering the ring for WrestleMania.
Yeah. Gotta get the energy going.
Hits it, the music comes on, and everyone they stand in anticipation, and Justin, like, he just appears, man. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
TGIF was like my favorite.
Yeah, no, and there's, again, I think when you're technology, right, you want to stay current on trends and what's new, what's different. How can it help me? Maybe it's AI, maybe it's, other solutions that, the manufacturer has. But I also think, you got to do something that kind of stands out and it's memorable. And I think at the end of the day, when you're in any sales capacity, right, there's a human component to it. There is a relationship there that if I buy this technology, I'm not only buying the technology to solve whatever I'm trying to buy, in that sense, why I'm buying the technology, but you're also you're engaged in a relationship with this person. Do I like this person? Do I trust this person? So like, you know what? And this goes back to their, opening comments as well. You know what? I like that guy, Justin. I was like, oh, okay, because then they know that I am going to be there for them. I am going to, in a sense, fight for them to get the solutions they need at the price point they need, and all that kind of goes with it. So for me, it's always, what's a good walk-up song? And, last week in Disney, shout out to my grandmama, did another Mary Poppins song. So that was awesome.
That was awesome. Authenticity, everybody.
Yeah,
there it is. Really quick, I wanted to ask, did you being a school teacher, how did that impact you delivering your presentations now? Because I would assume you were in the front of the room and you're used to
Yeah.
speaking to people. And if you can grab a room full of, young minds, attention,
Yeah.
how did that play into you just, taking hold of your presentations, like work in a room? Because you told me you were a school teacher and I was like, oh, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
display so much of your personality. I can totally see it. I can see them working together.
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, I think just kind of by default, and I forget the exact, term you gave me. Like, I am full of energy all the time. Like, I am just super passionate and super energy. That's just kind of who I am. And I kind of
high
had,
energy. Yeah.
yeah. And I had that as a school teacher. And I think when I was a teacher, the kids are there Monday through Friday and they got to learn, they got to take tests. And trust me, kids do not understand fractions. So, Andre, when Aiden does not understand fractions, because he won't, it's coming. Because kids, what?
We're gonna
half a number? What are you talking about? Right? 1/4 of what? But I think for me, when I was a school teacher, I think the kids like, whoa, Mr. Windsor, he's here every day. He's always energetic. Like, and I always tried it when I was a school teacher. Like, it's not my classroom, it's our classroom. Like, we're all here to do our job. We're here to learn, we're to teach, and I try to make it fun. I play music in class. You know what I mean? Like, the kids wanted to come to school. I gave out, when I was a first grade teacher, I gave kids a homework packet on the weekends. Imagine being a first grader and getting a homework packet on the weekend. But you know what? They did it because they knew like I was going to go through it and I wanted to have their best interest at heart. So they kind of performed. So I think for me, when I go present, it's that same kind of mindset. Like, I'm going to bring the energy. I want you engaged in my presentation, because if you feel that sense of energy from me and you're engaged, you may also, much like the kids I taught, you may also kind of give some energy back. And there's a little bit of reciprocity there. And I think when you have two sides kind of on the same plane and they're understanding and they're listening and they're having the comprehension, that's when things can be, oh yeah, so 1/4 is really, or yeah, you know what, that's what that technology does. So that's kind of how I've always kind of approached it, that I want them to be engaged. And if they're engaged and I'm kind of capturing their mind share, then what I'm then delivering hopefully becomes more memorable.
Awesome. Well, so you were the teacher that gave the homework packet out on the weekend. I think I had one. You always remember those teachers. I still can't get over it. But
yeah, well, I did.
Stuff and like that. I can't
believe
is,
this. The kids did it. And now now I'm seeing students I taught getting married and having kids, and I'm like, I'm not no spring chicken no more. It's cool. But yeah, no, teaching was a very, very great career, but also very thankful to be an 18-year veteran now in the IT world.
That's awesome. And being a teacher, I mean, I always say the three most important. I mean, should be the highest paid.
Yeah. I mean, and candidly, obviously, that's part of it. Yeah, I mean, teaching. Here's the thing: like when you're a teacher, yeah, you're in the school, you're in the classroom Monday through Friday and you're there from start to finish, but you're grading papers, you're meeting with teachers, you're doing lesson planning. And even though you might be off during the summer, you're not taking trips to the south of France, you're just not. So it is a little unsettling, as much as, some other careers are making lots of money, that, the guys and girls that are really shaping, the next generation. And it's not just, the capital of Wyoming is Cheyenne. I think that's the answer. If not, then I'm wrong. But it's also how to act in society, right? Like, and I can give countless examples. So like, that's the other thing teachers are, because sometimes that kid might not have a mom, might not have a dad, or one that works all the time. And the teacher is so impactful in that kid's life that it is very unfortunate they're not financially compensated even now, as much as, maybe you and I both think they should be.
100%. I mean, teachers have such a huge role and play such a huge part in all of our lives. I mean, we all have teachers we remember from growing up that, had a huge impact, whether it's, getting you through a tough time or, getting you over the hump with math, or just being there as a guardian figure. I mean,
100%.
Salute to you for doing that, man. Honestly. So. Now, it is time for the element of surprise. Basically, it's some quick fire questions. I'm going to mix them up and try to throw you off, even though I don't think it's going to work. You're a sharp guy. What was your first job?
First job, I was a dishwasher at a Mexican restaurant.
Oh, what's your favorite movie of all time and why?
Favorite movie of all time. Well, that's going to be a tough one, but I would, if you would ask, Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins.
There we go. Okay. What is your favorite song of all time and why?
Well, for a long time it was Hotel California. Love that song, but as I've grown and matured, my favorite band's Oasis. My son Liam is named after the lead singer, Liam Gallagher. And I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. And they have a song called Live Forever. And for all that I've been through and him being my greatest accomplishment, and just the tone of that song that, we see things they'll never see and you and I are going to live forever. It's such a testament of, me being a father, for him. So Live Forever, Oasis.
You always give the best answers, Justin. I can't get over on you here. I tried to mix the question. You know what? I do have a question. If you could go anywhere in the world today, all expense paid, no cell phone, no Wi-Fi connection, just you, where would it be and why?
Me by myself. Well, yes. I was gonna say Tokyo Disney, and then Disney Sea, but you've curtailed all electronic communication from said location. I don't know. One of my favorite movies ever growing up was La Bamba. Right?
Yes.
And I love the fact that, not the fact that he was in Mexico and no one knew where he was, and all that goes with that with Richie Valens. But I just think the ability to kind of completely be out, turned off for a week, no cell phone, just out in the middle of nowhere would kind of be cool. Now, whether that's, northern Mexico or someplace in Africa or someplace in Taiwan or someplace, that would be kind of my answer, just to kind of get away and just appreciate how glorious this world is that God's created and just be in Mother Nature and kind of trying to page back on before technology kind of came out. So not maybe a specific location, more of that kind of vibe.
Gotcha. You mentioned La Bamba. That's an awesome movie. Remember he performed Oh Donna and at the dance or whatever, and no one was paying attention. I was like, he's gonna be somebody one day.
They just somebody. Yeah, we had funny story. The most played artist at our wedding was Richie Valens.
Get out of here.
True story.
I love his stuff. Oh man, you're gonna make me watch the movie again.
You sure? Friday Night Fun there, Andre.
He couldn't get it together. His brother ruined everything. But all right.
Bob.
So, you remember the movie. Well, I did want to ask you this. What was the darkest time of your life and how did you get through it?
Oh, that's I've had a lot of dark times, my friend. And I think for me, it's always the belief that things are going to get better. It's always the belief that this is temporary, but going back to my son, what him and I have is permanent. It can't be shaken, right? You can try, and there's definitely many dark moments I've had in my life. But I just think the belief I had that, tomorrow's a better day, and that kind of goes back to my love of Oasis, for that matter, and some of their songs. Two, knowing that my son, despite all we've been through, he always knows he can count on me, and he gave a great speech at Jen and I's wedding in New Orleans back in July. And I think number three, and I kind of mentioned earlier, my granddad had been in some pretty tough spots. I mean, leaving Nazi-occupied Poland to come to America, not speaking English, to speaking American, to graduating from College Park, to getting married, to having 5 girls, to starting his own business, and then that business go bankrupt, right? But them having the resolve to keep fighting and keep grinding to be able to travel the world and then retire. So I think for me, I definitely have moments of, frustration, right? I think we all do. But I think when you're really in those moments that it is dark and there doesn't seem to be light, there's always something to kind of hang on to, right? And for me, it was one, my son, 2, my granddad, and 3, a lot of this stuff that we kind of worry about, it is temporary, and sometimes things do have longer repercussions. But I think you also kind of, you always kind of affect, you get what you put out there, that kind of thing, especially like when it comes to dating and those kinds of things. Yeah. So I think for me, I always try to stay positive, and I think my positivity, I hope, brings me more positivity, and it helps kind of shed the darkness away. And I'm still kind of dealing with that. The door's not completely closed. Maybe it's still open a little bit, but I'm not letting that darkness define me, because I have a life to live.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, a lot of times I asked you that question. A lot of times we always highlight the great times and where we are now. but I know you're a person that, like you said, you're authentic and you like to connect. And I know that there are people that we all have great times and we all have dark times, but I
Sure.
knew you would put an optimistic, positive spin or
Yeah.
lean into that perspective. I just knew it. I knew it. So thanks for delivering on that, Justin. I knew you would.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
I said he's gonna spin it and he's gonna make it a positive, and you did. Give me in closing, because I know I've kept you too long. You're probably looking at your watch. I said, Justin, just 10 minutes of your time. I know you're busy.
All good, dude. All good.
Where did the Disney fascination come from?
Yes. Let's get to the good
Is
stuff,
a
Andre.
Disney aficionado, my friend. You're
Yeah.
the king of Disney. He knows everything about it. Please tell us how this all began. Where did it start?
Yeah, so I'll go back to my grandma and granddad. So I was born in '79. My grandma and granddad got timeshare, a couple years before me getting born. And back in the day, they had RCI. So for anyone who's watching is maybe a little bit older, it was basically a vacation book for timeshare, right? And they got 2 weeks, and they had Massanutten, which is a ski resort in Virginia. So Massanutten is a great place, and shout out to Phil and Melissa there. But we always went to Massanutten once a year. And then the second year, usually summertime, we always went to Disney World. That's just kind of what we did. And then sometimes based upon RCI, you get an extra week and we go other places, whatever. But from like 1980 to the time my mom and dad split in the mid 90s, I went to Disney World like 10 times. Right? I went to Disneyland when I was 9 months old, so obviously I remember that entire trip. But like Disney World is just kind of what we did, right? And then as I became a father, I was like, I loved going to Disney. I'm now going to take my son Liam to Disney, which I've done. And then when I was like, I'm going to get engaged. Where am I going to do it? Again, in Disney World. And then fireworks went off right after. It was pretty awesome. So for me, the bigger thing about Disney is not only to the theme parks that I've gone to, and not the ones in Tokyo, because that's would have been the answer to the question before, but it just really also kind of goes back to Walt himself. Now you look at the story of Walt Disney, growing up, maybe not in the, not that he was desolate, but wasn't rich by any stretch of the imagination, right? Decides to move out to California to join his brother, to start their business, kind of gets lost in the shuffle with Universal, to put it mildly, with Oswald, his original creation, but much kind of like my granddad, just having the resolve, keep going. And one of Walt's, quotes you always used to say, keep moving forward. And that goes back to those dark times, keep moving forward. So it's that. And then the other thing too is that I've been to many other theme parks in the world. I've been to other vacation spots. And for me, as cliche as it is, when I walk through Disneyland or Disney World, the world goes away. It does. Like bills don't matter, stress doesn't matter, and I'm in this world that Walt and all the other Imagineers have created, that it does have that nostalgic feel. It still makes you feel like a kid. It still gives you that verve and that zest to go on Pirates of the Caribbean, or even though I've been on Jungle Cruise, I'm going to go that route again. Like, it's such a wonderful feeling that I have of being in Disney, and now having the ability to share with my son and now my wife and Aiden. It's pretty magical. And for all the times that I've gone, like, it never gets old, right? People one of my dreams is to move to Florida and be as close to Disney World as humanly possible. And like, I don't think it's ever going to get old. And I think when you can keep doing that, and there's always a sense of freshness, like, there's that. And then there's also, just me being a planner. Like before I do a vacation, I'm always watching the latest YouTube videos of whether it's Disney food blog with AJ, like what's new at the festival, foods I gotta eat, drinks I gotta drink, or, I'm watching my guys from Ear Scouts about new rope drop strategies for Disney World, right? Or my guy whose name escapes me, which I'll be upset about, my Disneyland guy, like this is the rope drop strategy that I use.
The rope drop strategy. I just heard about that, like right
it's
before
a thing,
we
man.
from Elise.
So
unbelievable.
I can't think of a better place, in my opinion, to take a family for vacation, to keep that sense of innocence, the sense of excitement, the sense that you're in a different place, much like Galaxy's Edge. When you're there, you're like, well, I'm not in California anymore. I mean, you are, but you're not, or Florida. It's just what they've been able to do. And I definitely think if Walt was alive today, there may be some things he would ask to change about some of the parks, maybe like how much they cost. Yes. But I do think he'd be very proud of where Disney is as a company, where the parks are, and that even though Disney World Land was built in 55 and Disney World came out in 71 and Epcot in 82, see, no Disney stats. The fact that 70 years later, in the case of Disneyland, there's kids that still have that same excitement as day one in Disneyland. Like that for me, what other thing started in 1955, right, from a theme park or some sort of entertainment, right, that 7 years later, it's still like, oh, it still maintains that. And I think it is such a credit to Disney, not only Walt, but his brother Roy, and to be able to share that with other people. Like that's where I get a lot of excitement, being at Disney and sharing it, and even talking about it makes me excited. So yeah,
you know everything is. You know where everything is in that.
All Disney all the time. And I say this in jest, Andre. Yes, I enjoy my current career, but if anyone from Disney wants to give me a call.
Oh no, edit that out. Edit that out. We he has to.
You can. You're the producer.
Justin, edit that out.
Yeah, no, I love Disney. It's wonderful, and yeah, maybe it is not the cheapest ticket, but the magic that I have, and I think it still is very present for people, is just so powerful.
It's worth it. It's worth it to experience at least once. And the Galaxy's Edge, like you said, and the lounge that's there, and things like that. I love it, and I've been to the one in Orlando. I'd never been to Disneyland, so I appreciate you being the guide, you and Kat. I mean, it was awesome.
Yeah, no, we again, it's there's many ways to spend your dollar, you know, from a family perspective. But for me, there's nothing that can beat Disney. Nothing will beat Disney. So I immerse myself in all things Disney, because I want to share that with my sons. And then maybe many years from now, because Liam's 14, so no time soon, if he's like, Dad, I'm taking the family to Disney World, I'm like that's kind of cool, because then much like 55 to 25, like that's the thing about Disney. It's passed down generation to generation. And I think we always are, what are we teaching our kids? You know, that they're going to, like, one thing I've always kind of gone back to, Andre, is that I've been through a lot of dark places in my life, but it's also not only how am I getting out of it, but like also what is my son seeing? Because he's going to become a man. He's going to be becoming a dad, right? He's going to become a father. So like I have to set an example, even though it might be tough for me. So if he gets older and he has some of my attributes, most notably, hey, Dad, I'm taking the family to Disney World, then I can kick back and be like, I did my job.
That's right. Justin, you've been awesome. Could you tell everybody, like, any future plans, any speaking engagements that you have coming up? I heard rumors about you making an appearance at Tech Jam in Orlando in January. Yeah. I don't know if that's accurate.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I think, initially we have some, HP events, which we call a race against ransomware. So I have a couple of them coming up with some partners out in California. You mentioned Tech Jam. There's also the HPE Public Sector Partner Summit, which is a bit of a mouthful, coming out in January. And there could be more stuff on the docket, right? So I think we've got a couple short-term and a couple of long-term events coming out. But yeah, anytime I can speak and kind of share my passion for technology, I'm always about it.
He's one of the greatest speakers of all time, ladies and gentlemen. His information is right here. Reach out. Be sure to follow Justin on LinkedIn. If he has a speaking engagement, he'll post it, give you some notice. Make sure you're there to see this at least one time. It's like Disneyland. You have to go to see him one time at least. Justin, thanks for your time today.
Thanks, sir.
Have a good day.